Hey guys, in today's video I'll be talking about Trials of Sekhemas in Path of Exile 2 and all the small and maybe bigger tips that should let you beat this trial. Just a big disclaimer here, those trials are extremely overtuned, especially for melee character. There was some balance pass already, probably more in the future. So even with those tips I'm giving you here, it may be still extremely difficult to beat them when you don't know what to expect, but hopefully with the stuff I'm gonna tell you about, it should be much easier. So let's start with the relics here. Just simple thing like maxing your honor resistance. So honor resistance goes to 75% as you can see here, with the maximum being 90%. This works exactly the same as with the elemental resistances. And it is something you should cap as soon as possible. Now, to illustrate you how important it is to actually increase it from 75 to higher levels, let's say you will be hit by 1k damage. Now, 75% damage reduction there means you're gonna be hit by 250 damage. Now, if you would get plus 5% maximum honor resistance, that means that hit drops from 250 to only 200 damage. That is 20% less damage that you're taking from that hit. Second thing is look for the increased maximum honor. With a lot of the relics you have at your disposal here, this is the setup you're probably gonna use if you're gonna go for a 4th floor boss. Maybe not exactly the same relics, but the space you will have available there. You can actually get to 2.5 more of your honor. If you have really good relics, you may even go to the triple of your starting honor. Now, that's something that is not to be easily dismissed there. Now, other things that may help you, depends on your build of course. In this setup here, I had the boss take increased damage. That's because the boss on the 4th floor is actually huge damage sponge. I wanted to make sure the fight will not take forever. That fight is pure DPS check, but more about the last boss later. So that's why this was here, and as you can see, mostly I was going for increased maximum honor there and just making sure I cap my honor resistance. So this is very basic setup. This is setup I'm using currently here. So as you can see, I have generic monsters take increased damage on this one, and there is this very nice one, 11% chance to avoid gaining affliction. If you pat yourself correctly during the trial, you should not be ever taking the affliction that is like run ending. It may happen too sometimes when you will be greedy and you're gonna gamble, but you should not do that, especially when you want to ascend. Now other stuff, honor resistance, maximum honor here. Merchant has 3 additional choices. Now this is, if you get this one, this is extremely good. This is on the border of being overpowered. There's second one you can also get to pair it with this one, reduce merchant prices. If you can actually get those, you're gonna make your run extremely easier than what it will be without it. And to finish this off here, monsters have reduced attack, cast and movement speed. You don't want to be ever in a situation where enemies almost insta-cast the stuff. So reducing that gives you more time to dodge, so extremely good one. And as you can see, there's maximum honor resistance here. This is not even the best setup I could go for right now. This is something I'm just using because Monk is extremely powerful. With this ascendancy node here, my evasion is actually converted into armor, and there is a lot of physical damage in the Trials of Sekhemas, especially on the last boss. So if you can get a lot of physical damage reduction, the run's gonna be much easier. Now if you can't achieve this, that's not the end of the world, because there are affixes on the relics like this one. Monsters deal reduced damage. So if you don't have any physical damage reduction, you should probably look on those affixes on your relics. It will make those hits much less painful. Now, second thing you should definitely have on your belt is extra armor. So right now you can see this one is extremely well rolled, 221 armor, and that translates into 332 armor rating here, which should translate to around 7% physical damage reduction. It may sound like it's not much, but it actually is adding up to your general survivability there in the Trial of Sekhemas. Now, from other affixes that I have here, of course, there's like stuff like maximum life, but if you compare this to just increase maximum honor is probably gonna be always better. Well, in case you don't know, your maximum honor is sum of your life and energy shield. Taking bigger number here is gonna be always just the way to go. Now, from other stuff, there's option to get movement speed there, to make sure you always have extra movement speed for the 4th floor boss. And yeah, there's always bosses deal reduced damage. All you can take bosses take increased damage to make your life easier. Deleting bosses in the trial is extremely good. That means they evaporize before they can deal any damage to you. It's not gonna work for the last boss, but it's still gonna be extremely helpful to deal increased damage, so consider that. Now, from other relics, there are also ones that give you increased defenses. They are very nice, but have in mind they actually add up to the pile of all the increases you have on your skill tree there, or maybe on the gear. So it will be not directly 38 increased defense here, as this relic says. Now, it will be actually very nice to boost your physical defense there by increasing your armor, even if you don't have a high amount of that. So that is one of the options you could use it. Also, it scales very nice your energy shield, which is considered as defense. So if you don't have that much scaling on the tree, extra increases defenses here gonna probably give you more than just straight up increase to your maximum honor. Alright, I think the relics are finished here. So what to do in the trial itself? Well, first tip here, always try to get the lowest level key you possibly can, especially if you go for the 4th floor. So in that case, that's gonna be level 75. And the reason is every floor after the first one will get +1 to monster level. So if you go with 75 of the first floor, gonna be 76 on the second, 77 on the third, and 78 on the 4th floor. Now it caps at the 80, but as you can see, monster level 78 compared to monster level 80, especially for the last boss, which has a lot of HP, it's gonna make the run much easier. So always go the lowest you possibly can when you try to ascend. And yeah, so just to showcase you here, guys, I have 4.6k life total. That should be my honor, but when we enter with all the increased honor relics there, I'm at 12k honor. So as you can imagine, that makes my runs much easier than if I would just stick to the basic life. Now, that's another tip here. If you just have your life, especially if you play class that rely only on the evasion, like ranger, mercenary, or monk maybe, going for extra shield is extremely valuable. There are a few unique items that you could maybe use here to just slap them for the trial. One of very big notable ones would be probably Adziri's Disdain. That one can give you 25 to 30% of your maximum life as extra energy shield. So with that one, you get 1/4 of your life pool extra, and then that's gonna be multiplied by your relics. So that can give you a lot of breathing room there. There are also other ways, of course. There is Everlasting Amulet that converts some of your mana to energy shield. Then there is Ghostwrite Chest. That's probably if you CI. Your life is at 1, but I think it's currently bugged. It still will give you your life as an extra energy shield, so you can get extra on top of that. Or you can just go for a hybrid build with evasion energy shield. This is what I'm doing actually as my monk here right now. As you can see, I have gear with evasion and energy shield everywhere here. But the biggest one here is my helmet that gives me energy shield, but also double of the energy shield value as evasion rating. And that's because of this very OP node here. +2 to evasion rating per 1 maximum energy shield on equipped helmet. It's a very nice one. So it's extremely easy for ranger or mercenary to get extra energy shield. It will help you also with mapping. You will stop dying to some one-shots. So yeah. Think about that. Now, when it comes to the general tips, when it comes to the trial itself. Now, of course, avoiding afflictions at all costs, probably very good idea. That means that any affliction that will make you not see one room ahead, it's very bad. The one that will put you into the random room, extremely bad. Never take those. Now, of course, there will be situation where there will be like full row affliction and you just can't not take one. So what to do then? Like, as you can see, there's all those arrows there, so you can see pathing. Now, the first idea will be greedy and take the stuff that is good, but then you can sometimes corner yourself into the situation where you don't have any other choice. Now, this is a good example here. You get the sacred water, which is extremely good. More about this in a second, but you will be present with the choice only here. There's nothing you can do. There's no wiggle room here. If there's something bad here, you just screwed. And there are very bad afflictions out there. If you play CI, there is one that removes all energy shield, for instance. Removes all armor, removes all evasion. That is your main defense layer. You don't wanna ever pick this one. There are other nasty ones. Here is a good example. The one you should never probably take. Monster action speed. Never take this one. There are better ones. But this is all very organic and it basically depends. Now, the afflictions that are usually very safe to take is the one that hides the room type. Like you can see on top here, that's the ritual trail. This is also ritual trail and this is the chalice trail. Now, for most of the time, that should not be a problem. It actually becomes kind of a problem in the 4th floor because the escape trail is quite challenging there because there are a lot of narrow corridors and a lot of big monsters that will just slam on the ground. It's hard to avoid them. So you may actually skip the escape trails in the 4th floor. On any other floor, those are actually pretty easy. You just go for the crystals and easy win. Same for chalice trials usually. Hitting few rares if you don't stack 2 on top. Now from the other trials there's the hourglass one. This one you can usually easily skip. If you go to the corner of the room, you can just stand there and kill 1 or 2 monsters that will spawn. You will never have to interact with the rares at all. Especially important tip for the 4th floor, where the damage of the monster is gonna get a bit higher because of the base monster level. So you can just cheese those very easily. Ritual ones are usually also very easy. And there is another one with where you have to just find the exit. There will be a lot of traps there. All depends how much you hate those. Now, from other afflictions that come to my mind, there's one that gives you 100% more damage when you are on low life. Now, as far as I know, low life is only when you're actually on your life pool, the red globe here, and you drop below 35%. That should not affect your honor. That's usually very free win there. Unless you have another one, that is when you get hit, you lose 5% of life, energy shield and mana. This one can actually drop you pretty fast to low life. Well, actually kill you. There are 2 instances there where you should be extremely careful. One is the monster that looks like furnace. He will cast big clouds of embers and those embers are multi-hitting you in 1 second. I actually did die like that before. So when you see the furnace monsters, when you have the 5% life loss on hit, make sure you kill them very, very fast. And then the last monster that will be problematic will be actually the main guy at the 4th floor there. There is a phase when he starts casting something that looks like chain lightning. There's a lot of multi-hits there and that also can kill you. Other than that, that affliction is pretty safe, but you should always remember that you actually have it. Now, as I mentioned, if you're going for the 4th floor, try to skip monsters have increased maximum life. That may be very problematic. And the rest of the afflictions are usually self-explanatory. Now, one big tip here is try not to take anything that impacts the sacred water or merchants on the first 2 floors. The strategy for me is I try to gather as much of the sacred water, try to find merchants in the middle of the run, which is not really necessary. It just gives you more chances to find OP boons, because always when you kill the boss of the floor, at the end the Balbala will be there and you can interact with her and buy some boons after you finish the floor. If you have those extra merchant choices, that means you can look for that 50% more damage, 40% more movement speed, less damage from monsters, less HP on monsters. This one is also extremely good, especially if you have problems with the 4th boss on the 4th floor. But yeah, there are also other ones that are extremely nice. I will steal this one from Kriparian. There is one that restores 50% of your honor when you drop below, I think it's 20% of your life. So what you can do is, if you get this one, make sure you have the life tap support gem, so you can actually trigger it yourself by casting a skill that drains your life. And that way you have very, very easy honor restoration there. And yeah, that's basically the main strat here when it comes to flooring. After 2 floors, you can still think about getting the sacred water and get the extra boons. If you're lucky, you may even encounter the major boon. One that is very, very nice was the all-seeing eye. Show you everything on the trail, every single room. But nice bonus of that one is that any affliction that hides rooms, rewards, or afflictions, it will still be shown because all-seeing eye sees everything. So that's like few afflictions there that are easy to take. And yeah, floor 3rd and 4th, you can go now for the 50% less merchant choices, one merchant offer, increased sacred water and all that jazz, unless you were really unlucky and you didn't get those major boons on the first 2 floors. Then you may actually consider putting yourself the way, so you get extra sacred water, and maybe at the end of the 3rd floor you will be lucky and you will get your boons. So yeah, as you can see, that's why those +3 extra merchant choices, which you can stack actually on multiple relics. So that means that if you stack them to extreme, you can see all the choices when you interact with the merchant. So it will be extremely easy to get the most OP ones and win the trail that way. So yeah, from the other things, as you can see all the relic effects here in place. And there's one I forgot to mention now that I talk about the major boons. There is one major boon that restores your honor when you finish a room, but also on the one of the affixes on the relics is the one that does exactly the same. So that is basically major boon on your relic affix there. So that may be also very worthwhile to get constant way of regaining your honor. Okay, so now let's talk about the bosses. So the first floor boss you probably killed while doing the campaign. The second floor boss is something you should probably not worry about, because while doing the campaign you're gonna do the chaos trial for your second ascendancy. So the problem becomes when you have to do the 3rd floor. At this point, when you're doing your 3rd floor, that second boss probably, it's actually twin boss, they deal a lot of damage and they slam the ground a lot. So you can't actually use evasion as your main way of getting away from that fight. You actually need to just dodge roll or finish them very quick. My strategy usually is killing the fire one first. Looks like he's slamming more and has annoying AoE fire waves and stuff, so I try to finish him first and then I go for the cold one. That being said, I don't have much experience fighting them legitly, because I dropped the bell and both of them just instantly evaporize for me. So maybe there are other tricks you guys know and can share about that fight. And then the 3rd floor, it's gonna be Big Scorpion. One nice thing you can use is the charm that gives you poison immunity there. That will save you some trouble. Most of the attacks the Scorpion Queen has are like big AoE slams. They are very nice telegraphed, so you should learn those pretty quick. If you see she's charging something, just dodge roll and you should be good. But she can sometimes burrow under the ground and she will start leaving those quick stuns that are actual death sentence if you're a melee character, because you will be slow to oblivion and you will not be able to swing your weapon at all. The solution to this is, the moment you see her going under the ground, there will be those square traps in the boss pit. Make sure you actually go on the edge and don't trigger the trap. The moment you do this, boss will instantly unborrow and he will start fighting you again, so you don't have to suffer to extremes with that boss fight. And then the big ugly, the Time Lord himself, big damage sponge. The solution for this one is, well, you just need to have enough damage there, and if you have a lot of physical damage reduction that could come from armor or maybe other sources, then you should be good, because his damage output is very low. He hits a lot, but those are all small hits, so your armor will actually work like a champion there, and it's just who gonna die first there, right? As I mentioned before, very important boon to get is that 40% increased movement speed, because during the fight there will be phase. You may be doing this phase 2 times, 3 times if your DPS is very low, where there will be glowing thing in the center of the map. You have to go there right away. That gives you a bit more time to do the mechanic, and there will be a lot of those small clepsydras in the arena, and you have to just go and collect them all. If you don't, then your character just gonna commit suicide and the run is over. Now, there are different strats about this one here. If you get the movement speed, it should be fine. I did it without the extra 40% movement speed, just with the boots with 30% movement speed. But it's always like, it feels like I'm almost gonna die, but then last second it works. I think the good strategy is when you plan your road for this, going for the ones that are close to each other. Because when you get one of those hourglasses there, you get like small boost to your speed. It looks like the curse that he's casting on you is actually not affecting you for a second. So I feel like going for the ones that are close at the beginning and then going for the long run or the one that is at very long distance is probably the way. But yeah, with enough movement speed, you should be fine either way. So that's that. And there is another move that the boss will have there. He will teleport to the center and then he will start casting lightning, spinning in the circle. There will be also a lot of bubbles on the ground. When you step on them, you're gonna actually get frozen for a second. The damage it deals, it's very laughable there, especially if you have some damage reduction. But to just completely skip this mechanic, go into one of the corners. They're like kind of triangle one, star shape ones. Go into either one, and if you stay there, he will not damage you at all. The minus to this strategy is that he will regain his energy shield and you will have to go through it again. But if you have, especially if you have that affliction that when on hit you lose 5% of your life, energy shield and mana, well, it's better to just survive and not get hit by that than him having extra HP during the fight. Other than that, as I mentioned, the boss fight is just you have to survive there. All the crazy stuff he's gonna cast and summon. It's very easy to dodge most of his attack. The only problematic thing will be the flying swords, but as I mentioned, DPS check, so kill him faster than he can kill you. And yeah, I think that's basically most of the tips and ideas here. If I forgot something, just make sure to check in the video description or pinned comment. I will drop there extra tips I forgot to mention. And yeah, as I said, don't give up. This is overtuned, totally bullshit. I didn't enjoy this at the beginning too, but once your character gets a bit stronger and you overlevel a bit, these things actually becomes quite enjoyable. Well, maybe I'm twisted and just enjoy it, I don't know. Either way, I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching and I will catch you in the next one.